The federal government is saying it's prepared to make changes to the Criminal Code of Canada when it comes to bail conditions. Federal Justice Minister David Lametti will discuss bail reform with his provincial and territorial counterparts this week on Friday. In January, all 13 premiers signed a letter urging the Prime Minister to consider making it harder for people convicted of certain firearm offences to get bail. So joining us for a closer look at what this could look like is criminal lawyer Tanya Walker. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So Canada's premiers are suggesting what they call a reverse onus provision for people convicted of possessing a prohibited or restricted firearm. So this means it would be up to them to prove why they should be eligible for bail instead of the Crown having to prove why they shouldn't be. Now, this already exists for other offenses. That includes like terrorism and organized crime charges. What do you think about this idea?
I think that if it was working, then there wouldn't be the need or request for an expansion. I think that it already applies to many provisions that include firearm offenses, such as discharging a firearm with intent or recklessly, trafficking, like you mentioned, and an offense involving a firearm. So I'm not too sure if the ends kind of justify the means, which is to try and keep people who are violent offenders in prison for longer.
Yeah, Lametti said while bail is a fundamental right, he believes that this kind of reform could be done without infringing on the Charter. Could you delve into that more for us?
Well, Section 11 of the Charter provides that someone should not be denied reasonable bail without just cause. And Section D provides that you are presumed to be innocent unless you're proven guilty. So I'm not too sure if you can demonstrate a broader provision applies to someone where it doesn't infringe your charter rights. For example, if this law is actually enacted, someone who is caught carrying a firearm in their jeans could be subject to this provision. And I don't know if that really meets the ends of the goal, which is to imprison someone who has a propensity to cause another crime.
Data on bail is spotty, but what's there shows that racialized and Indigenous offenders are more likely to be denied bail than white offenders. Here's some of that data. 2015 to 2016, Black offenders in Ontario jails were held in remand roughly twice as long as white offenders, equivalent to an additional 38 days. Are you concerned about the potential of this reform to set a precedent for making bail harder to obtain?
I'm not concerned as for this to be a precedent to make bail harder to obtain, because a judge is supposed to look at various factors, regardless if there's a reverse onus provision, which includes if someone is from a racialized, marginalized, or indigenous community. So if a judge looks at various factors, including whether or not there's a reverse onus provision, then it shouldn't impact marginalized or racialized groups any more than the laws already have. And I really would hope that it does not.
Tanya, what other kinds of reform to our bail system would be worth exploring?
There are two, Emery. One is access to community resources. So homeless, mental health issues, substance abuse, and trauma are really realities that could make access to bail and adhering to bail conditions very difficult. Mm-hmm. So maybe one may need access to community resources to help that person. The second is more funding for enhanced bail supervision programs. So this law, discussion about through Randall McKenzie. Mr. McKenzie was denied bail in a separate case involving an assault and weapons charge, but he was released after review. After he was released, he ended up murdering a member of the Ontario Provincial Police. And this was a cry for help in terms of making sure people like Mr. McKenzie remain in jail. So if there were more enhanced bail supervision programs, perhaps if bail is violated, then you have the mechanisms to place somebody back in jail or to apprehend them so they don't cause another crime.
Thanks for coming on this morning, Tanya.
Thank you.